I hope
You
you
can see.
guys see my screen. Awesome. Cool. So with that, let's start. I think Kushal has already given a good introduction to this. Essentially, it's about how, as product managers, we can boost our productivity, efficiency, in some ways using AI tools. AI is for the last 1.5 year after ChatGPT has taken over pretty much all the industries, right? So we need to also make sure that we keep up with the pace of tools that are coming up in this area and try and embed those in our workflows. So I'll talk about what I'll cover in the session, but this is about the usage of the AI tools rather than building AI tools. So I'm Mayank. I am a data scientist product manager. I started my product journey at Gojek, which was Indonesia's first unicorn, where I spent about 5 years. Witnessed the journey from a startup to an IPO company there back at Gojek, and I led the order experience product for the food delivery vertical there. And then in the last couple of years, I moved to Deliveroo, which is also a food delivery marketplace. So again, I moved into food itself, so I love food. And at Deliveroo, I led a different part of the business, which was a team focused on onboarding and acquiring merchants onto our platform. So that sort of became like the B2B perspective from earlier B2C. And now I've recently joined Sneak. Sneak is a B2B SaaS tool in the cybersecurity space. So we help developers make uh, secure code, write secure code. And this particular area of developer tooling is undergoing like a massive change in terms of how code is written through generative AI itself, right? You have GitHub Copilot being used by a lot of developers. So I'm very close to the space of what's specifically happening in the developer tooling, which is probably the first one which gets affected or impacted when uh, any such generative efficiency started to come in. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on. All right, so this is not going to be a session where we talk about history of AI or becoming AI product manager. This is going to be a session around how you can use AI in your everyday life as a PM to your advantage, and what skills should you focus on going forward, right? Because it's changing massively. I want to also focus on your understanding of how it's going to change so that you can foresee what kind of skills are going to become more important for you as a product manager. And I'll after that I'll do a little bit of live demo and show you how I use some of the tools that I do today in my workflow and how you can adopt them. The important part is not the tool itself, but that mindset of trying to identify those parts in your workflow as a product manager in your daily life so that you can be more efficient. That's pretty much it. And it's not about the tool, but the mindset. So not promoting the usage of any particular tool. So feel free to apply the same concept and same workflows anywhere else in whatever uh, workspace that you are using in your organization. So yeah, with that, let's get into the meat of the session. I don't know if you are able to take some chats for people who are here. Is the chat open, Kushal, by any chance? Yes, it is.
Yes, my chat is open.
Okay, cool. So I want to just begin with this, which is I want to just get a sense of how are you using AI today? Uh, can people just pop this up in the chat, which is how do you exactly today utilize AI? Maybe in the format of this, which is tool X for Y task. So today you may be using, I don't know, ChatGPT, Gemini for writing PRDs. How do you utilize today AI in your daily life? This gives me a sense of what is the baseline for people which we can build over. Don't worry, no one is going to judge you on your AI tool usage. So feel free to tell me about any tools that you've come across.
There's no wrong answers, guys. Oh, it's pretty cool. ChatGPT is probably going to be quite prevalent in the responses today.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to know what other tools people use. Folks, again, there is no. Okay, all right.
Nice. Okay. So we've got a few answers. ChatGPT for summarizing user interviews for a PRD. That's exactly what demo I'll also do. Kushal, so great point on that. ChatGPT and Copilot to write PRD and API docs. Oh, API docs. Okay. That's a good use case as well. ChatGPT for writing PRDs. All right. Any more questions coming in? Sorry. Any more answers, folks? Let's keep this engaging. Latex and moment codes for workflows. Interesting. Is latex and mo okay. Latex is it a tool? I've not heard of it, sorry. Cool. All right. Let's okay. This gives me some sense of what kind of tools people been using, and it's obviously ChatGPT is leading the way in terms of how different use cases, how many different use cases it can cover. But there are also like custom GPTs coming up, which are very specific to a certain kind of audience, right? Start exploring them as well, maybe. And I found some of them to be really helpful. For example, a communication coach, which is a custom GPT that lives within ChatGPT, right? You don't need to feed it a specific uh, a lot of context that you typically need to do with ChatGPT. So try and venture and explore into that area of custom GPTs as well, which is useful in some cases, and you need to identify those use cases where it is more helpful than your generic ChatGPT when it's a niche use case. But in a lot of other areas, it's a trial and hit and trial approach which you need to take. Try out a few of those custom GPTs and see what works as well. Cool. So moving on, what is the agenda for today? We're going to cover one, how is AI impacting product development today, which feeds into how your skills as a product manager need to evolve, keeping in mind that how to generally use AI tools, which are like the different categories which I've seen it being more helpful in. And then what are the common use cases for PMs, and then do a little bit of live walkthrough of how we can do a customer discovery, writing a feature PRD, and then some person day-to-day workflows. Cool. With that, let's get into this. So how is AI impacting product development? This is a very interesting topic personally for me because I have been in this space for a while as a product manager who's also building machine learning products. And like machine learning is mostly just related with building data science model, but now with AI, you've got a lot of generative AI in the last 1.5 year, which means a lot of it which was not possible earlier is now possible. What that means is if you think about all your adjacent functions, for example, product design, you can generate UI and UX using prompts, right? The lines between a user experience designer and a visual designer are blurring because you have um, you have a tool available for you as a user experience designer to even be able to generate visual designs and mock-ups, and even in some cases in some tools they're also going to the level of being able to generate a full proper wireframe or a mock-up or even a proper mobile screen that can directly be given to the engineering team, right? So lines have already started to blur for the last, even before generative AI was there, lines were like blurry between UX designers and visual designers. And how generative AI has affected this is, let me actually show you something. I was reading this very cool article on how generative AI is changing the product design domain itself, right? And this is important because it's useful to think about how this is going to change. Um, how and what is already happening. Some of this may not be visible to you because we are not using all these tools in a day-to-day life, but this is actually what is happening, just that it hasn't hit that adoption curve yet, right? So for example, let's quickly look at this. This is your ideal iteration process. From user research to idea, you create mockups, and then implementation, QA, and live app. But in reality, in today, you have a lot of feedback loops which go into it, right? From user research, not everything makes it way to a mockup. These are all the humans in the loop which are making progress from synthesizing the user needs to how it should visually be on a mockup, and then till implementation, and then you're writing code here, and then you're queuing and making it live, right? So all these iterations that today happen, they can actually generative AI can actually fill these gaps in. A lot of edge cases which we may not have thought about, all of that can be taken away by generative AI if it understands the context of your app. And just maybe in a few years down the line, you feed it a customer needs, and the live app will be possible. In some cases, a very simple workflow within the app is still today possible. Just that not everyone has started adopting it. So this is already happening, right? I'll not go into all the other things, but uh, we will see all of these changes happening pretty soon. So these are all different kinds of code generation tools that are currently being used. And you'll start seeing like this transition as well on software interfaces. From fully static UI, you're becoming like fully adaptive, right? Now, why understanding this is important is, if I go back here, right? Um, So product design is going to change in this manner. With engineering as well. With engineering, you've got Copilot generating code, which means engineers can have less cognitive load essentially when they are writing code, but also hold more context about more systems when they are also operating in the domain of trying to figure out the system architecture, right? It's not just about generating code, but also thinking about the steps that happen before that. And once that starts happening, where an engineer can typically have more time dedicated to just system designing and even getting help from AI to get that context of what are the underlying systems, uh, you need less engineers essentially to build products. And with even analytics, you've got natural language to SQL editors. You can pretty much uh, directly with APIs tie your database to a natural language processor, LLM, and just write down queries that can give you the data insights, right? So all of this is happening today itself, right? Which means team topologies are changing. Smaller teams will be handling more products because everyone is basically moving one level up, right? So what does that mean for you as a product manager? What are the skills that you need to take care of uh, when you are um, when you're operating as a product manager? Okay. Hold on. Something has happened with my screen. Hold on. Are you guys able to see my screen now? Okay. So it's like, okay. Okay. So what does that mean? I think my sharing is off, is it? Let me share back again. Something has happened.
We can't see your screen, Hamid.
Yeah, I'm trying to share again. Yeah. You're visible now? Okay, thank you. So how does that affect you, right? You need to prepare to handle more products and be more efficient, basically, and look at what AI today is not able to handle today, and what AI is not good at. It may become good at it in the future, but at least in the short term, things like human to human connection, right? Stakeholder management is not going away, and that needs to start becoming your core focus as a PM to develop your skill. Uh, One is that. Second is dealing with ambiguity, right? Chat GPT or any other tools, they need very clear direction, which means you as a product manager will need to have a clear strategy in mind when you are dealing with ambiguity, right? So those are a couple of things which it cannot do well today. Innovation is about novel ideas, right? You can probably say it starts entering the domain of creativity, which is a little bit different, but um, non-novel ideas can be based out of patterns and analogies from different domains, but innovation, which is pure new ideas, that's something which ChatGPT cannot do, right? You as a product manager need to then focus in these three areas, these 3 or 4 areas, and there are obviously more areas, but I'm just trying to give a general sense. Stakeholder management will be there. Your communication and messaging will start differentiating you from other product managers, and then strategy, and then innovation, right? These are 2 3 things which I think for you as a PM, for anyone as a PM, will start becoming much more important. So how to utilize AI tools then? Having known this, right? One, I think basically there are three different areas in which I think today um, I one have personally started to use AI tools, and these will keep on expanding as we go into the future, right? So the first one is increasing your workflow efficiency. Now, this is about identifying um, where you are spending your most time today, which is probably administrative. Can you make it more efficient because of these AI tools? For example, creating and sending status reports, right? Note taking in a meeting, sharing meeting summaries after that, even writing SQL queries. All of this is pretty much sorted in terms of what base work you need to do. For example, for sending for a meeting summary, you can, if you're on Zoom, you can switch on AI summary, and you get a pretty decent meeting summary. I've started using it in my daily meetings, and it typically works very good when it's a one-on-one conversation. But when there are 5 people, more than 5 people in the conversation, it becomes hard for it to get context, because a lot of tangents in the conversation start to arise. So you need to start using these tools in your day to day to realize, okay, where they work well today, where can I start offloading my administrative burden and start to improve my efficiency, right? The other day, just giving a few examples so that this sparks up a little bit of ideas. The other day, I wanted to absorb a very technical white paper in the domain of security. So I just uploaded that PDF in Chat GPT, and it gave me a very layman view of it, right? So it for me, who had to earlier uh, spend 8 hours studying the underlying concepts within a very technical white paper, I can now very quickly get a layman view of it, right? Which was not even possible earlier. So start using tools that are in your workspace as well, along with this, to improve the efficiency. For example, there's AI with Slack as well, right? Now, there are 10 threads with multiple comments that I get tagged on in Slack. And sometimes I don't have the bandwidth to go into each one of them, right? Just summarize it. It gives you a good high level overview, but if you need low level details, you need to still read some of those messages which are underlying. But it does a pretty good job at giving you a high level overview of it, so that you can at least decide, do you want to spend time on it right now or later, right? So Slack AI, Zoom AI, use it for summaries, Chat GPT, obviously. Then what else? While you're interviewing, right? You need sometimes someone to someone to have a conversation with, right? So you can use ChatGPT for that. And in fact, I wanted to analyze a design for a particular checkout page, right? I in fact may have opened up the view for this as well. Yeah. If you look at this, I fed it this. Let's see what the last query I had done. I fed it the design for the checkout page for Uber and gave it a prompt, provide a comprehensive analysis of the product design that provides very clear and actionable feedback for improvement. And it gives you a pretty good summary of what are good aspects, what are areas of improvement, uh, and you can pretty much have a very good detail from here on as well, and start, like, if you want to go down deeper into this, just start having a conversation here, right? This is something which wasn't wasn't so intuitive earlier on, but now with the Omni model, you can feed it all these images and have a very good design critique. Along with that, I'm not going to go into the prompt engineering part of it because that's also very important, I think, but it is very underrated. Uh, Pretty much what you write here determines it at a very good level what you're going to get. So, just for example, I did not give it a comprehensive design critique. I did not give it that prompt. I gave it, okay, I'm a product manager preparing for product science interviews, suggest design improvements. Right? It has come up with not not as detailed improvements as in the previous prompt, but in this one, it's talking about more UI elements and then a little bit of UX. But I found that prompt to be pretty good. So play around with those prompts. Prompt engineering, in fact, is becoming it is an industry of its own now. So as a product manager, you need to get better at just having this conversation with ChatGPT or any other generative tools, which I think no one was used to before. We were used to the Google search experience where you'll write something down, read up something, go back, maybe type in some more text. But this is now a real conversation which you can build upon, and this really affects the way you will get the results. Okay, going back. So second is, yeah, first was basically workflow efficiency with all this. Second is improved decision making. Now I was talking about how I used AI to or ChatGPT to get more context on a certain topic like a security white paper, right? You then start having that conversation itself to start using to challenge your own thinking of what you understand and then explore diverse perspectives, right? So in that flow itself of the white paper, I then started asking it questions of how can I use this particular concept to embed in my product, right? And what are the market trends and what is not so obvious risk when I'm thinking about this particular concept in my own application. And I gave it all the context for my own application. So it really improved the way I was decisioning my understanding about the product and then taking decisions regarding how I should onboard customers on that product. So that's the second part, improving decision making in real time with some products that you might be developing. And then the third part is the creative ideation part. Now, I think the real deal with generative AI is you use it to also overcome your creative blocks, brainstorm new ideas, solutions, generate mock-ups, right? So if you were to basically take away one thing from this whole slide, don't just take AI as like writing assistants, but rather use them as a work assistant in your daily use cases. They're giving you summaries, they're helping you explore diverse perspectives and challenging your own thinking and helping you create ideas that you may not have thought about. Now, we'll walk through some real world scenarios. Let's see where we can get to, but it's a very simple scenario that I'll use. But these are some of the use cases that you should start thinking about in your daily life in terms of where you can use these tools, right? Problem discovery and customer research, I'll not go through all of them, but essentially, I think I heard writing PRDs as the most common one, but there are other parts of this as well, where you should start utilizing it, because again, efficiency is going to be discovered only when you start actually talking about prioritization. You can actually apply a prioritization framework to your list of features with ChatGPT. You can just feed it the framework and it will start giving you questions against the framework so that you can start thinking about it. I've actually used it and this was pretty good. I fed it a framework which was RICE, the RICE framework, and I wanted to apply it to my features. So I just gave it a list of features as well, and it started questioning, okay, what do you think about the frequency of customer entering this funnel, etc. So it'll start having questions, uh, that question and answer conversation with you, which will help you better in each area. So now let's go into the actual a problem discovery and customer research exercise that I typically do. So what we'll do is we'll prepare a research brief, which after which we want to meet customers. We want to then synthesize findings and make a PRD, right? That's the typical process of discovering and then having that feedback finally feed into your product requirement loop. And I'll use Coda for this again. No propagation of the tool itself, but just want to tell you that like this has been pretty good in my own workflow. So I try and use it as much as possible. But because sometimes that same tool isn't applicable in each particular organization that you might be in. So try and apply the same concepts to your workflow. So let me share my screen on a different Coda. Stop sharing this. Okay, how much time would we have by the way, Kushal?
We have 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. You can see my screen on Coda, right? Yes, I think you guys can. Okay, cool. So how do we begin? If you have to write a customer research, right? I'll just give it a prompt. And then the idea is we'll not go into the prompt engineering part of it, but rather look at some of the little bit of features here and there. But the idea is not the features itself, but like what you can do pretty much the same thing with ChatGPT as well. And let's see. So I've just created a prompt here. I'm a PM responsible for acquiring onboarding restaurant partners, and I want to prepare a research brief for customer research, which focuses on improving the tool with regards to the CRM tool that we use today, which is called Salesforce, for our internal customers, which are business development managers and account teams that go out to these restaurant partners, that work with these restaurant partners. So a quick way to do this is, okay, I just feed it in the right log here. I can just create it. So it starts giving me some research questions, a research methodology as well. I can keep on adding something more. Again, if you're using, let's say, Google Docs or something else, you just need to go to ChatGPT and do it once, and then it's done there. But just this tool allows you to do it. I think there might be other tools as well which allow you to do this. I don't know if I've not used this in Google Docs, but I think Gemini has that integration now, so you can pretty much do the same thing. But I've not found it to be very helpful till now. So once you have, let's say, a research, and this is pretty good. Like this is a good starting point, but you want to go deeper here. Like this is very broad, and this is not a good prompt. So you can give it better prompts to come up with better questions and give it some more context in terms of how are you looking to better it. I'll not go into all of that, but let's say I now have my brief. I have conducted interviews. Um, and I make this table. And I also do this, which is have a transcript from my Zoom summary pasted here, which is basically this is just a, sample transcript and paste it here. And what it allows me to do is this. I can pretty much give a summary here because usually all of that lives in my head. I want to have a good summary here so that I can share this with my team, share this with my internal stakeholders, uh, use some anecdotes in my final product requirement doc that I'm going to write as well, right? So this is pretty useful in sharing it with other folks. Now let's say I can pretty much write summarize here, and it will summarize whatever is inside the transcript here. Right, it's a pretty good summary usually I found. You can again, I think you can iterate on this. You have a refresh button on this. If you don't like the summary, keep iterating, giving it more feedback, and then action items as well I can take from here. Let's say I want to find the action items from summary itself rather than the transcript. So yeah, now the other, so let's say once you have all of this, right, you've taken 10 interviews, you have a summary, you have action items as well from this, right? You can start thinking about adding features. You now want to start brainstorming about features from these needs that you have seen, right? So you can again use the same option to brainstorm and get ideas on, okay, recommend what sort of solutions can do this. But for now, I'll just write down, let's say I want to have a feature which, let's actually do this. Let's say it is unlinked to this, but let's say the PRD that I want to write is about adding restaurant data in Salesforce, or let's be more specific, adding improved quality restaurant data in Salesforce, right? Now you can have multiple features like this against different conversations that you had, and when you're writing your PRD, you want it to automatically consume some of that feedback that you had in customer research, and it does a pretty good job of like linking all of this. So my prompt here becomes write a product requirement document to build a feature for having improved quality of data in the CRM tool. Taking feedback from customer. You can actually take it from the table, or you can take it from the table which is underlying this is called customer transcript, or from the whole page itself, because there's a research brief. It may not be very helpful to have that in the PRD. Oh, yeah, let's do it again. It doesn't save it. That's a bummer. Say this. Let's see what it does on this. Incorporating feedback from customer transcripts. Now, because you've not given it a lot of context around what to build, it will basically uh, try and take whatever it has in the table. And obviously, because that sample data is not generating something very useful, it's started hallucinating itself, right? So that's why what is important here is you give it more context. If your underlying data itself here is not great, it starts hallucinating at low levels, right? So if let's say if I now just change this, right, uh, product requirement doc. Uh, to improve the CRM tool by adding improved quality of restaurant data. Incorporate feedback from the customer transcript. Now it may not even generate a great result here because uh, my feature is not directly what the conversation talked about. So if all of that is very well linked in the sense of if your customer research has actual data, there's sample data. If you actually have great data here, the PRD actually comes up with some good sections, gives me a good structure as well. And if you don't like the structure, again, these are more prompts that you need to then add right technical requirements as well. And it takes the right technical requirements for the feature to. Yeah, now it's starting to become very generic because it's not picked up what the context from the customer research was. But the idea is essentially now when you've got a good summary in place here, and you've offloaded a lot of your time trying to make a deck, or maybe even from this you can go and make a deck, but you don't have to spend a lot of time going through each and every discussion. You have a good summary here itself, and this is also shareable to your stakeholders. So that's what I've actually done in one of my last projects, where I had all these summaries directly here and shared these anecdotes with my stakeholders, made it a PRD, and shared that as well. Now, one other aspect here was actually sending out like emails for interviews, right? Which you cannot, which probably takes a lot of time sometimes when you have like a list of 50 people to send out emails to. As a product manager, I would probably not even go into earlier. I would not even think about writing a script because it would have taken me a lot of time to just send out emails for these interviews. But when I just did a quick first chat GPT search, it talked about, okay, from an Excel sheet you can actually send out emails by having emails and body in that in a particular table, and applying app script to it. It pretty much gave me the full code that I just had to copy paste, and I was able to send emails to all my 50 interview participants in literally 10-20 minutes, which I would have idly done manually if I didn't know how to write a script, right? So all of this is now pretty much possible, and everyone should start doing this, which is, even if it is about automating some of this through scripts, uh, because it is a very predictable script, and these are very simple scripts. Uh, Everyone can start to adopt it. You don't need to actually understand the code because it explains the code as well with comments. So yeah, this is pretty much what I wanted to showcase from a demo standpoint. Now again, a lot of this depends on what kind of prompts you feed it, what kind of context you are giving it, because it will narrow down based on whatever you are giving the context to it about, and the underlying data. The same is true for ChatGPT, where you have to give it a lot of give it quite some data, be it in the form of a image, PDF, write down the context in the form of text, for it to actually be more meaningful to you and start having that conversation. Cool. I will now move back, and so these are the final takeaways. One, adopt AI features on established products, which you may already be using inside your organization. Introduce it to your teams as well, because a lot of this depends on how all of us, all of the team members are also using it. If I have it on Coda and no one is using Coda in my organization, I can't really share it, right? So try and do the same thing on Google Docs, which I actually do. I sometimes even go to the extent of having something built in Coda itself and then come back to Google Docs just to copy paste sometimes, which is very inefficient again, right? So if Gemini comes up with better integrations and better just pure better results, then I think it will replace completely this use case for me, right? And then second, try out new AI tools and choose the one that really fit your workflows. It's a high churn space right now, and different use cases, winners haven't really emerged yet, which means you need to try out these products yourself and see what really fits. Some of the yeah, I'm not going to give a list of tools because the tools keep on changing, and what fits my workflow may not fit anyone else's. I still have a link that I can share if someone just wants to find out what tools I personally use, but that may not be very helpful for you. So second is that, and third is stay updated on these new tools. I in fact use a product hunt extension in my browser itself, and I check out what new tools are coming in. Wherever I see like more upvotes in certain days, I just go and use them. It's like for example, AI Copilot for CRM marketing, or whatever I think is something which can add value to my own day to day. I try and use it at least 2 to 3 times, and then decide, okay, is this something which I can actually adopt? If not, and if I'm not happy, then I leave it and then move on, right? So yeah, start doing like just exploration as well. As product managers, you are curious souls who have to be fed with all of this knowledge, which product hunt really helps in. And then there is a couple of newsletters as well, or as I was showing you this, right? These blogs from investors also talk a lot about how new tools are coming up. So I sometimes use these as well to discover new tools and start using them. A lot of these are sometimes paid, so which is a friction point. But yeah, you need to discover what fits. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's all, folks. Thank you. Should we take some questions? I don't know if there are questions in chat.
Absolutely. Folks, if you have any questions, happy to spend a few minutes answering them. Again, this is my philosophy, at least there are no bad questions. So all the tools which you used demonstrated today, Mayank, are you using them at your workplace today?
A lot of the tools that are already being used, they've started coming up with different features. So I try and utilize all those functionalities. For example, Slack, Zoom, what else? Google Docs have not found it very helpful. But again, a lot of it depends. It depends on whether those functionalities are good enough yet or they are beta. For example, for Miro, we use Miro in our workplace, and Miro doesn't have a great AI generator. If you ask it, okay, let me brainstorm on a certain topic, it will generate some sticky notes, but it's usually not really helpful. So yeah, it depends. I essentially try out everything in the workspace that's there, and then just stick to the ones that actually match. Otherwise, I think ChatGPT has probably become the go-to tool for generating anything new because
Yeah.
they are good at it.
Generalized use cases, I think ChatGPT, nothing can beat ChatGPT at this moment. In terms of knowledge tasks, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you
Have
use
you
Perplexity as well, by any chance?
I did use it. I in fact use a yeah, I did use it, but I didn't stick to it because I didn't I think adapt to the workflow. There's that learning curve, right? There's a learning curve at least for a few times. If you get used to it and you like it, then you adopt it. Otherwise, it naturally just drops out. But there are plenty of
Right.
other which are not yet like are not yet fully adopted, but I like them. For example, there's one called Giga Brain. I'll
Yeah.
just type it down here. So Giga Brain is essentially for Reddit summaries. A lot of the times I don't really want factual information. I want what
Opinions.
people are saying, right? So subjective opinions, they still matter, right? So what you want to do is just have instead of going through 10 Reddit threads, just read one, right? For example, I was researching on whether I should get an iPad mini or an iPod Pro. It just gave me a summary saying people are saying iPad mini is good for portability and for reading books. So I was able to like make a decision very quickly, just getting summaries of what people are saying using tools like these.
I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I'm just checking it out right now. Sort of hits some of the use cases which your search engines won't
Yeah.
address, right? And ChatGPT cannot answer like factual question in the sense can't scan the internet yet properly. So
Yeah.
it seems interesting.
And then definitely there are these other tools which I have used for just improving communication, which is in a lot of you got meeting coaches now where they will analyze the way you speak and
Yeah.
there is forgetting a couple of names because again I used to use them and have stopped using them, but Udly used to be one tool which I used for a while. For which was basically a communication coach. Um, what else? I have a full list which I used to earlier. Just update. It's just not updated now.
Okay. Cool. So folks, is there any, I mean, we can spend a minute or so for any questions. I don't see any on the chat. I guess people are just eager to try these tools out first.
Even slide creation, right? Slide. I don't know. There is beautiful.ai for slide creation,
Yeah,
where
even Tome.
where you can
.ai.
just which one?
TOME, Tome.
TOME. Have you personally used that?
No, has not met my benchmark of what I'd probably put together. But it's good to start off with instead of a blank canvas, at least it gets some structure going, which you can edit. It's not there yet, is all I can say.
Yeah.
Specifically around presentation creation.
Yeah. I think that's why I earlier, like when we did this sort of session 6 months back, I used to have like a list of tools which I had found helpful at that point, but now I have realized that for everyone it could be a different tool because they're at such a nascent stage that some of the use cases are fulfilled better with some tool, some of the use cases are fulfilled for someone else with another tool.
Correct.
Right? So hence there is no right one tool. There are no market leaders yet that you can actually say, okay, this does the job pretty much for making all kinds of presentation, right? There may be certain kinds of presentation, maybe certain kind of content that maybe Toom helps where yeah. So that's my perspective on how this space is evolving and how we should just try and explore all these different tools, whether they fit our workflows or not.
Cool. I think you're looking good. No more questions. I think people are just listening to us talk. We should just have a podcast for this then, where we just talk about AI tools. Maybe we'll do it. I think we should. Let's talk about it offline.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Cool, folks. Thanks for joining in today. Is there a good site where we can get some good product case studies? There
There
are a
are
few.
blogs.
Yeah.
There are a few blogs that I can share. They might be again behind.